finally, a source of raw, real, and honest information on healthcare issues that matter most. Welcome to BS Free MD. From the latest medical information to how to stay sane as a doctor or a patient, no subject is taboo, no BS is allowed. Now, let's welcome your hosts, Doctors May and Tim Hindmarsh.
All right, this week, back with a Doctales.
Happy Thanksgiving week.
Yes, because this drops actually on Thanksgiving because
We're here.
we actually work for you even during the holidays.
Actually, I do. I work on Thanksgiving.
You do.
And I work for you because you're going on a trip.
I know.
So I'm working for everybody.
So, yes, if this all goes as planned, I'll have had 2 days of motorcycling on the lovely island of Oahu. And then I'll just be hanging out on Thursday doing, cool wedding stuff with my bro and probably nursing a unbelievably intense hangover. But, I'll try not to. I'll
Like
be good.
drinking a Thanksgiving turkey drink or something. gross like
I'll
that.
be drinking recovery gravy.
Sick.
Like a big vat of gravy with N-acetylcysteine in it and vitamin B, vitamin C, electrolytes.
There you go.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
let's hope you don't take or get COVID in Hawaii. That you stay healthy.
Hey, I've been vaccinated, which obviously worked amazing because I also got COVID. So I've got everything.
Well, you're primed and ready to go.
I am. I'll come back with the fact you came back with gonosyphomidia is a problem.
You better not come back with that or anything else. And
Gonosyphomidia.
on that note, let's jump into...
That would be bad. That's kind of
let's
like
jump in.
virtually...
Let's jump...
Then you could call me Wand of Death.
Okay, Nathan has got to cut out some of this.
Nathan is our editor, and he's not cutting this out because sometimes it just needs to be raw, and sometimes we need to earn our E rating. That's just how it goes. We know the last 2 weeks were really, really informative, very positive, incredibly uplifting. Well, sometimes that's not the way it is. Sometimes the movie ends, and, the two young women drive the convertible into the Grand Canyon. That's just how it goes.
Are you Thelma or are you Louise? You think about it while
I'm identifying.
You think about it while I do the commercial.
Do the commercial.
All right, everybody. We've got to thank our sponsor because we're here because of them. And
For now.
they are Locum Story all this month, just as we promised. And today we're reading One Job, Two Job again. Say it with me, everybody. One job, two jobs. Red blob, no job. Elective doc, emergency doc, some in overstock, some in out of stock. This doc is too abused. This doc is underused. This doc can't get sick. Say, let's try a brand new trick. For all the docs about to cry, here's an idea you can try. Look into a locum tenens assignment. A really great option, you might find it. Don't forget, locums pays much better, and you can find assignments in any type of weather. With all this new info trapped up in your thinker, go to financialresidency.com/locumstory and use your mouse to tinker. It's here you'll find the unbiased answers you're after, so you can decide if locum tenens is your next chapter.
Outstanding. Outstanding. For our non-physician listeners, locum tenens is literally gap, standing in the gap. I think it means something like that in Latin.
And I just call it...
Placeholder, basically placeholder. So where there's a high need for certain physician jobs, they bring in placeholders to keep the system moving.
And I just call it the substitute doctor.
That's right. Like the substitute teacher.
So I wonder
how come the
if
substitute teachers I had in 7th grade were never like the Hot for Teacher in the Hot for Teacher video from Van Halen? How come? That's not fair. That's what it should have been. It was never that. It was like somebody like literally 45 seconds from retirement.
Wow.
It's like, wow, you are literally 10 years older than my grandmother.
I'm sorry you had such a bad childhood.
I don't want to sharpen my pencil. Like literally, it's just like liars. Van Halen, you are liars.
Wow.
Just saying,
Van
man.
Halen has just ruined your Thanksgiving, huh?
Well, kind of.
Well, I wonder if everybody's in a turkey coma right now, or they're on to their third cocktail. We're having something really different this time, but
we'll get to that in a bit.
We're gonna save the spill
This
of
is
what it is.
You should listen to this before. You really should listen to this in between the parade and the dog show, because this cocktail is really quite different and really outstanding, and you could make it during the dog show and blow your friends and family away. Blow them away.
I thought you were going to say they should listen then so that they don't give themselves some kind of injury or illness.
That's
what
true.
we're going to talk about.
Because we're here, we're 100% about safety, because, obviously nothing in the world matters more than safety, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so my
first.
notes actually say death by Thanksgiving. I think we're going to call this episode Give Thanks and Don't Die.
Oh, well, on with your death by Thanksgiving.
So what's
why are we going to die at Thanksgiving?
Oh, yes. No, people die with
You
high
know
rates.
what it is? I was starting to do a little research for this show, and number one thing out there is
MVAs.
no.
Cars.
Come on, get current. COVID. Everywhere you look. How to stay safe from this holiday season. Sit 6 feet apart at the dinner table. Wear masks in the house if you have to. Don't share food. Don't do potlucks. Bring your own plastic forks and knives and
So really, what
paper
they're
dishes.
I mean, this is just getting idiotic.
I'm
Like
not
what
kidding.
they're saying is
Everywhere I look.
right. So, but really, what this is boiled down to is don't do Thanksgiving.
I know.
So if you're gonna do okay, so these people, honest to God, I am so pissed off and I'm so done with this idiotic bullshit.
It sounds like
it's idiotic bullshit now.
Thanksgiving at the food court.
No, but it's just stupid, right? So I'm watching the NHL tonight, and they have all these old gomers that were part of the Ring of Honor of whatever, right? So they bring all these guys down on the ice. They're on the ice. They've been hanging out. They've probably wasted by this point, right? Because they're all retired hockey players from the 70s and 80s, and those guys were expert drinkers. And so they all get together, and they're standing on the ice, and they're standing in a facility filled with 25,000 people, cheering and screaming, and spittle is blasting out of their faces. No one's wearing a mask, but these old bastards standing on the ice are all wearing masks. It's just theater.
Well, maybe
it's just theater.
Hey.
It's completely idiotic.
Maybe. Hey, that's their right to wear a mask.
They can do what they want.
So that they don't have to get everyone else's
right.
spittle in their
But then
face.
you watch football game. There's 100,000 people in the stands. And some 19-and-a-half-year-old, third string backup safety is standing there with a mask on. He has zero risk. And it's like I'm done. Stop the frickin' theater. No, guess what? COVID, you know what kills people at Thanksgiving? Not frickin' COVID. What kills people in Thanksgiving more than anything is boring shit.
I was going to say families. Families
No,
having to put up with
it's boring.
whatever.
It's car accidents.
Yes.
That's the number one thing that will kill people over the weekend is car accidents.
Totally true. MVAs. And actually, I saw some interesting stats that showed it's actually the number one holiday for MVAs.
Well, there's a bunch of reasons for it. It's super long, right? So they actually count it statistically as 4.25 days because they count it from Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
To basically till Monday morning. So it's 4.25 days. So it's really long. It's way longer than any other holiday we have in the United States, right? Because Christmas is one day. You get Christmas, you don't get Boxing Day, there's nothing else. So it's one day. Whereas Thanksgiving is 4.25 days because virtually nobody works the day after Thanksgiving, right?
Wow.
And so that's how they look at it. So it's this massive time period. It's the beginning of winter. And then everyone's going to see their family, which means they're going to drink excessively because that's usually what most people do, A, with their family if they like to see their family, or B, to tolerate their family and not kill them.
Yeah. No, it's true.
So there's this really toxic mixture of it's the first winter holiday, it's super long, and people get super wasted.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the next thing, if I had to guess, that gets people is probably heart disease or heart attack.
Yeah, it's up there. I don't know exactly the number, but it's pretty crazy. There's 1/3 more heart attacks in winter, and the risk, like essentially the winter tip over, is Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving is like the beginning of you're going to die of a heart attack, which is really, and what's really fascinating about this is if you look at the stats, you'd go, okay, well, some guy's in, Calgary, and he had a gigantic meal, so his body's kind of stressed. He had like 6 beers, and now he's having a smoke, and he's outside shoveling snow, and then he keels over, right? Because it's winter, so it's the the classic sort of triumvirate: food, nicotine, smoke, exercise kind of deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because the rates are essentially the same if you live in California or Florida where the weather is perfect. Like literally the weather in Southern California or in most of Florida, a lot of the South, Texas, is the best in the entire year during Thanksgiving, and people still die at a higher rate.
Right. You know what? I read something called the holiday heart syndrome, where
holiday heart syndrome technically is you drink too much and you get a cardiac
exactly
you get a cardiomyopathy.
Right. And so alcohol plus all the food plus all the excitement plus they said coupled with guys yelling at the TV when football's on or family stress, and it gets your adrenaline going, and boom, you get this increase in surge in arrhythmias and cardiac events. So don't yell at football. There you go.
We should all just be listening to Yanni.
It said actually
and pan flute.
okay.
Yanni and pan flute. No, and then if that was the case,
Yeah.
if there was no alcohol,
if I played
if there was no
Johnny, you would be yelling.
No, if there was no football, no alcohol, no yelling, no excessive food feasting eating, and it literally was Yanni and pan flute, there would be an explosion of suicide. Like a massive explosion of suicide.
Or homicides, like
both.
taking out the person that's playing the music. Yeah, it says that as far as the holiday heart thing goes, that if you're cheering for your favorite football team, you're more likely to have a heart attack. It says it's associated with a 15% increase in circulatory deaths among men and a 27% increase among women. Imagine that. So Thanksgiving is more stressful.
So basically, if you're from Detroit and they play every Thanksgiving and they completely suck, then you're just gonna you should just kill yourself if you're in Detroit then, and avoid the acute coronary syndrome.
All I know is the yelling.
Because you are gonna yell, you are gonna be pissed off, and you are gonna lose.
All I know is the yelling at the TV is stressful to me, no matter who's playing.
I think I yell at the TV more now. I don't yell at the TV much anymore. I used to at everything, but man, politics is way worse.
Yeah, I would say so. Just turn it all off, even the football, and then we'll play some Yanni.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, what's next on? Do you have anything next on causes of death? Actually, from what I looked up, the next thing is actually fires and burns. House fires from cooking and burns from cooking. More common reasons to visit the emergency room, etc. But what about that once a year thing we all do when we all get crazy, and I couldn't believe it until we did it and it was the best ever, put our turkey in a deep fryer?
Well, So
It's like a bomb if you don't do it right.
there's about 1,700 total cooking fires in the United States during Thanksgiving. When you think of it, that's not that many, but I don't know how that's broken down because the devil truly is in the details. If it's 1,700 houses that burnt down, that's really significant. If it's cooking fires like reported to authorities, that's also significant, but you can put out cooking fires. And it was really interesting because, again, it's the same thing, right? Like, why is there more cooking fires during Thanksgiving? Well, you're cooking for a longer period of time. You have kids bugging you in the kitchen. You're on, like, your sixth glass of wine or whatever. And then you have all of these different dishes going at the same time. But here's the thing that's really a mind blower. So there's 1,700 total cooking fires during Thanksgiving. 1,000 of them are deep fried turkey.
Wow.
Like way over half, like almost two-thirds are
which
literally.
Totally makes sense. I mean, you've got this giant vat of boiling oil ready to combust, and so
You have boiling oil over an open flame. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, you're the guy that always does the deep fried turkey. Wait,
I do
we've
the
done
deep
it,
fried
what,
turkey
twice now, twice or
three times. I have a system. We have a fire extinguisher because you want a dry powder fire extinguisher. If you put a water hose on your grease fire, you will just burn your house down. Like when you dip that bad boy in there, shit gets real.
Yes.
But see, here's the problem.
You have to make sure it's thawed and there's not a big frozen ball of ice in the
Well,
center
see,
of
but
that
that's the problem,
sucker.
right? People put them in there frozen, and essentially you have just taken a 14-pound grenade and put it in boiling oil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it just explodes out, and then the oil hits the open flame.
You want to make sure that sucker is totally thawed out.
So is it still a house fire if it's in a trailer park?
Ooh, burn.
Ooh.
That's harsh.
That one had the tie-dye curtains. That was my favorite. It had the daggone tie-dye curtain. And it almost caught my bass boat on fire, too, because my bass boat worth 3 times as much as my trailer.
Brother. Well, I read some other reasons to cause significant injury, illness, whatever we're calling on Thanksgiving is injuries from lacerations and cuts from cooking. More knife injuries, people cutting themselves, probably imbibing, and whoosh, there they go, cutting off their finger and putting that into the stuffing. So.
Wow. Speaking of stuffing, foodborne illness.
Are you going to trash on my favorite thing at Thanksgiving?
No, I love stuffing, but the actual real stuffing, it's interesting because we actually met somebody today that is about our age who has never eaten stuffing that was actually stuffed inside a turkey. Now, when you actually think of what stuffing really is, so let's take bread.
He's never lived if he's never had true stuffing.
He's never so he's never had a side dish that was created by fisting a dead animal. Awesome.
That just
first guy in line.
wrong.
Let me get that one.
Just wrong.
Well, that's what it is, though, because you literally are taking like onions and celery and a ton of bread, and you're frying it in oil and butter, and then you're shoving it into the center of a gutted turkey, and then you wonder why people might get sick.
I clean that thing out, and I think I'm going to be sick.
Because it tastes so much better when the turkey juices like boil into the dress. This year, did we use agar? Did we use agar plates inside our turkey? So the problem.
So people forget, like, this is a significant thing, which is foodborne illnesses, food poisoning at Thanksgiving time on the rise because people don't prepare the food properly, or they don't put it away and store it properly.
Well, and that's the problem with stuffing, is the meat can be cooked, but the stuffing can't. Like, the stuffing still has to get to 165 degrees in the center of the stuffing.
Right.
Or you basically have a blood culture
it's just
of salmonella going on in the inside.
Salmonella-soaked stuffing fest.
Salmonella, folks.
And so me growing up as a kid, that was the only way we ever ate it. There was no cooking it there was no stovetop stuffing back then. It was all made from scratch, stuck in the turkey, pulled out. It was like the best, and we never got sick. So obviously that stuff got cooked to death. But my family.
You also grew up in a British family. They overcooked the living hell out of absolutely everything.
It was falling off the bird every single time, so you knew that it was cooked. And I think we checked the temperature with the thermometer. I really do. But yeah, I don't think most people do that anymore. It's too much work. It's too easy, and you can, I don't know, get stovetop and call it good or do something else. But okay, so
one thing that is helpful.
What's the most common foodborne illness?
Salmonella.
And not just from stuffing, but even from turkey.
Yeah. So there's the 2-hour rule.
Yes.
After it comes out of after it's been cooked after it's been sitting on the table, it has to go in the fridge in 2 hours.
Well, yes, all the food should, but especially the turkey and stuffing.
Right.
2 hours. And which actually makes me think of a really good
I
story.
know the story. It is an amazing, story.
We don't have any really good personal Thanksgiving stories of things that happened to us. But the more we start yammering on here, now we're both looking at each other and we know it. And maybe that's what happened. Maybe it was salmonella poisoning instead of
It was
turkey
not salmonella.
coma.
No, it was turkey coma.
Maybe
it was turkey coma. It was turkey coma.
Okay.
So we had this cat. His name was Lex, and he was a Bengal cat. So he was like, I don't know, 5%, 10%, like wild. Like they took ocelots.
It's more than that.
They took ocelots and bred them
20%.
with tabbies. So basically what you did is you got a cat that was like 15 pounds.
Because I think his grandfather was a Bengal, and so then it got bred with a...
Well, no, not a Bengal tiger. They're 800 pounds. So they bred them with
not a Bengal tiger. Yeah, I mean purebred ocelot. Sorry, my bad.
Right.
Bred with a, I don't know, fluffy calm.
So they breed them usually with tabbies.
Yeah.
And what they get is you get these cats. Then they breed once they get the, 2 or 3 generations with the wild cats. Then they just let the domesticated ones breed, and they look exactly like tigers.
This cat,
like literally, it's
cool.
a 15-pound tiger.
Yeah.
And this cat was really cool, and he was kind of wild, and he had this, like, he would meow really loud, and he'd get up every day at 5 and have to go out like a dog. So we left the cat in the house, and we had cooked the turkey, and I don't know where we went, and we left the turkey cooling because we were going to cut it all up and then put it in the fridge for sandwiches and whatnot.
All wrapped up with aluminum foil, sitting there nicely, this big, giant, beastly sized. It was huge. I remember it.
It's pronounced huge.
That too. So all I remember is wherever we went, we came back, and the first thing I see as we walk in our house is tinfoil on the floor, crap on the floor, carcass on the floor, and mess all over the counter. And literally, okay, I think it was just the two of us that had eaten this thing. I don't think anyone had come over at that point.
We had produced other humans by that point.
Yeah, we might have had our daughter at that point, but we had no one else. I don't think anyone came over. And so there was literally hardly any out of this turkey when we ate it. When that cat got a hold of that thing, it was gnawed down to, there was like a quarter of it left.
And where there was...
there was literally only a quarter of it left.
Like where there was meat left, there was like little tiny cat-sized mouth bites. So this cat ate like 3 pounds.
At least.
Of turkey. And then for like the next 3 days,
gone.
We never saw him. He was just like completely... We're like, okay, the cat ran away. He got killed by a cougar or something. Like he's gone, and then he reemerged.
He was around, but he didn't do anything.
Turkey coma.
It was like Garfield. It was like a total Garfield episode, and it wasn't lasagna. It was just turkey, but that was pretty funny. And he obviously didn't get salmonella poisoning.
It's a cat. They eat dead mice.
So, note to all of you people up there: put your turkeys away, or you'll get sick, or the cat will eat it. There you go.
Well, especially if you have a cat that's half ocelot or whatever.
Oh, well, what about any other foods going to make you sick?
Choking.
Oh.
Choking. You have a 10 times higher risk during a holiday celebration or the Super Bowl, which should be a holiday, of choking during
because you're yelling and chewing and aspirating.
You're eating
and
too
talking.
fast. You're eating more than you would. You're drinking more than you would. The drinking more than you normally would is a common theme. You're not chewing enough.
So people need to slow down or learn the Heimlich maneuver.
So how many people die of choking a year?
I don't know. 300.
5,000.
Ooh, that's a horrible way to go, too.
That's actually staggering.
I've actually choked.
That's 10. But put that number, because percentages. There's a lot of BS-ery that goes on in percentages, right? Like the price of anchovies, they went up 3,000%, but who cares? No one eats them. So if you look at that, 5,000 choking deaths a year, that's 10% of the number of people that die in car wrecks. Like, that's staggering to me.
That's gross, is what that is. People are gluttons.
I mean,
yuck. That's all I have to say.
What I want to know is how many of them happen at the Golden Corral.
Ew. Who's going to Golden Corral at Thanksgiving?
Apparently, lots of people.
Well, just overeating in general. I guess people show up to the ER because they've got such horrific heartburn and indigestion and not having a heart attack or choking, but still.
No, like when you think of it though, like it's weird, right? Like if you look at antiquity, right? So, we're Christians and we have studied the Old and New Testament, and throughout the entire Old Testament and New Testament, there are periods of fasting and periods of feasting, right? Mm-hmm. So there would be, you would fast before Yom Kippur or whatever, and then, you would have a feast and whatever. Like, so there was kind of a yin and a yang, right? Like, you're not going to eat anything for 2 or 3 days because you're going to commit yourself to God or whatever, and then everyone will confess their sins, and there'll be this Day of Atonement, and then we'll party. Kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Now, it's just feasting.
Total feasting. No kidding. Forget the fast.
Like never, right? Like, I mean, it was so funny. Like every time, growing up, you'd go to a church. The church needed a new wing, or it was going to do some capital project for whatever reason.
They had a potluck and there was no.
No. They had a giant banquet and they sold tickets to it. It was never, hey, we should fast and pray and decide if we should, spend money on this new project or whatever. No, it was like...
There's no fasting.
No, it's like, get some guy from 300 miles away who's an expert who can, like, rev up the troops, sell a bunch of tickets, and let's eat, like,
It's the American way.
Yeah.
Well, instead of fasting, let's share what we're drinking this fine day. So, if you're guessing what we're drinking, and I might have dropped a little hint before the show dropped today as to what's in our cup, you would at first maybe guess, oh yeah, they're probably going to do the typical vodka cranberry. But no, I thought we got to spice it up a little and not be so boring and try something fun. And we are drinking an apple cider Moscow Mule. And I found the recipe on Pinterest.
When I heard the recipe, I was like, this is a total loser.
I know.
This is going to be a total loser.
He's like, what? And I sent him the recipe, and I'm like, check it out and go get the ingredients. Okay, so we have our nice, thanks to Pier 1, which no longer exists.
Pier 1 doesn't exist anymore?
No, it's closed down.
No kidding, really?
Really?
Where am I going to get shitty stuff made in China?
Stop. That's called, well, I'll tell you later.
It's called every other store in the United States?
Yeah, Target and Walmart. Anyway, no, these are really nice cups. Okay, so we've got our copper mules, and they were cold and frosty, and the ingredients, of course, are vodka, and we're drinking a new kind this time, which I'm really enjoying, Chopin. Very yummy. It's gluten-free, and I love it. We've mixed 1.5 ounces with 2 ounces of ginger beer. Love ginger beer. 2 ounces of apple cider. Half an ounce of lime juice, fresh squeezed. Some ice and it calls for apple slices for garnish, but we skipped that and we put a big cinnamon stick in there, and the longer it's in there and you swirl it around, it's really cinnamony. So
the cinnamon stick is a total winner.
yes. So we didn't put lime in, we didn't put the apple, we put the cinnamon stick. And so I'll tell you that the apple cider is also critical. So Tim got a kind that's pressed apple cider, so it's not filtered. It's really cloudy looking because
It looks like diarrhea.
it looks like mud. Yes.
You have to get diarrhea apple cider to make this drink actually happen.
So you want the unfiltered kind, and
Like my mouth.
so I'll post the recipe, but it's so good. Like I thought, this is gonna be too nasty, but I'm telling you, I'm really, really liking this. So the apple cider Moscow Mule from Pinterest is a winner, and it's from a recipe site called Homemade Interest on Pinterest.
Homemade interest on Pinterest.
Yep, really yummy. So I'm gonna look up some more recipes from now on.
You do that, because if I get on Pinterest, I literally have to burn my man card.
It's okay. You don't have your own Pinterest board, your own pinning board, whatever. Okay, let's do a little fun thing before we toddle off. I wanted you to guess what are the 6 side dishes with the most calories on Thanksgiving that are unhealthy. I know I'm going to wreck everybody's day because I'm jumping right to what's the crappiest thing you ate today? But this
Well, it's got to be that candied yams where they take the yams, put brown sugar, and then put the marshmallows. Like, honest to God, marshmallows are the most idiotic thing ever invented.
Yeah,
at the hands
you
of
guessed it. Only they call it sweet potato casserole. And which reminds me of Dana Carvey and his sweet potato thing, wasn't it that?
No, the sticks that got stuck in my esophagus.
I thought it was like something about a sweet potato casserole.
Sweet potato casserole. And then the sticks on the end, they get stuck in my esophagus.
Yeah, see? There you go. You did it
Sweet
all so
potato.
well.
No, it's like...
So, yes, all the brown sugar, the large fluffy marshmallow topping, the people put a little extra butter in there. Boom, your blood sugar goes soaring through the
Like,
roof.
literally, that thing should have vials of the insulin that come shooting out of it as soon as the spoon goes into the dish.
Yeah, and I got to find out how many calories are in that because it's, they say 650 calories per 1 cup.
Yeah, but who would eat a cup of that?
That's not very much. A cup? If you put a cup... Okay, our son eats 10 cups of mashed potatoes normally. He makes Mount Vesuvius.
Yeah, but he exercises for like 17 hours a day.
And then he puts the gravy in like a lava field, and it is... You've seen it anyway. It's the second worst food, and I didn't know that Americans really ate this on Thanksgiving, but where have I been all my life here in the U.S.? Mac and cheese. Is that a Thanksgiving thing? Or
You know what? It's an everything thing. Because it's mac and cheese, and I don't think that you should diss it, because it's like the best thing in the entire world.
I'm like, but yeah, everywhere, mac and cheese. I don't know we don't eat that in our family, but anyway, it's still dense with fat.
Well, aren't you fancy schmancy?
Someone said they should choose it as a dessert. Or you should choose it as a dessert.
But I mean, mac and cheese has become it's become pizza, right? Like, so pizza, commercialized pizza in the United States started in the Midwest, believe it or not, right? And it really did start with Pizza Hut and then Domino's, which were Midwestern companies, and mass production, all the different toppings, all the pizza was pretty uniform before then.
Yeah.
And then it became this, oh, let's put chicken on pizza. Oh, let's put bison meat and pemmican on pizza, and it just got really, out there, right? But that's mac and cheese now. Mac and cheese is now, it's like, oh, let's get lobster, crab, and, whatever, shellfish, baked mac and cheese with 7 different ultra rare cheeses from the north of France.
I guess.
No, I mean, seriously, like there's restaurants that are just mac and cheese restaurants.
Really?
Yes. Like
I need to get around a bit more.
It's like, with caramelized brulee and bourbon Gouda.
I guess being gluten-free has that disadvantage, doesn't it?
Well, I'm sure they have a entire gluten-free, whatever, which would be like, I don't know, So it's cheese with sawdust or something like that?
Sick. Okay, next in the bad for you is, they call it fillers, but give me a break. It's basically supposed to be the stuffing. And of course, the boxed options are the worst because they have all the sodium in addition to the calories and fat. So if you're going to do stuffing, keep it healthy. Just make your own.
And stuff it in the bird yourself.
After that is potato gratin, I guess, which is scalloped potatoes. Same thing, because people use the whole cream, butter, super high fat.
But at least that's fat.
Cheese, butter, salt.
No, but at least the available complex carbohydrates in the potato are being bathed in greasy goodness. So at least that's filling to a degree.
You'd be better off to have mashed potatoes.
Well, right, but at least there's some fat there, so you're going to get full. Whereas like the candied yams is literally like just taking a bottle of simple syrup and just drinking it.
Well, that's what happens if you do cranberry syrup or cranberries, with all the, especially the can. It's just tons of high fructose corn syrup. So, the cranberry sauce and all that too. Same thing.
Do you know where high fructose corn syrup came from? Do you know what administration?
Yes. I think didn't they use that to make baby formula?
Nope.
Really?
Well, they probably did at some point. But you know who? Okay. Like literally.
Okay, is this going to take a long time? Because people want to finish their dessert I'm about to ruin here.
The same guy that brought you the DEA, that brought you the American with Disability Act, that brought you the ATF, okay, like all these alphabet, like massive expansion of federal powers, the same guy brought you high fructose corn syrup. And his name was Richard Milhouse Nixon.
Wow.
Because there was a sugar shortage. And everyone in the United States...
He should have definitely been fired for that. Forget Watergate.
Everyone was losing their marbles over this massive sugar shortage. And they found some scientist all geek mode out.
Oh, you watched it on your food show on
TV,
didn't you?
I read this. I read it because I read books, okay? I read a book. I color... Great book. Best book ever. Colored in it. Read it. Excellent book. Great book. So they literally, they were freaking out about the sugar shortage and how expensive food was going to get, especially like lower end foods. And there was some geek mo in some university who was like, yeah, no, you can just take corn. You can grind it up. You can kind of convert it and you make it into corn syrup. And it tastes exactly the same as sucrose, but it's shit. Because it doesn't raise your blood sugar.
It's terrible.
Because it's fruit sugar,
which
is terrible.
Literally.
And literally, like, so it makes you fatter than hell and gives you no energy. Hey, great. I'm Richard Milhouse Nixon. I'm not a crook, but I need some sweetener. Like, literally, thank you. And the DEA.
Oh, my gosh.
And the ATF. What a great guy.
Well, speaking of corn syrup, moving on to another bad thing for you is our dessert pile, which is pecan pie. 400 to 500 calories per slice. It is dense in nutrients and tons of sugar, like processed corn syrup, for example. That's how it makes it sticky. And, yeah, so there you go. Better option is pumpkin pie without all the whip. Or my personal favorite, but it would hit the bad for you department, is pumpkin cheesecake.
Right, but none of this matters. None of this matters if we had the balance of the fasting and the feasting.
Well, I'm going to feed you some good stuff.
Nothing.
You're going to get the Brussels sprouts without the bacon. I love Brussels sprouts, and they're only 190 calories per cup. And your face looks really thrilled.
And then they produce 190 cubic feet of gas, which is awesome.
Blast off.
Because guess what, sister? Day after Black Friday will be Blue Dutch Oven Friday.
Oh, yuck. Well, sorry if I put a damper on everybody's food thing, but I don't know. Just choose wisely. Choose your favorite fatty things and don't overdo it and spread it
Well, you
out
should
over 4
enjoy
days.
It. Like, I mean, honestly, like if you're
I
going
guess
into
the
a
average
feast,
person eats 2,500 to 4,000 calories on Thanksgiving.
yeah, that's a lot.
That's a whole lot. Good
You know,
grief.
but like the thing is, like, you
probably
should
including
enjoy
the drinks, the desserts, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but it's an eat yourself into a coma festival over a long period of time, right? It's like anything you do, right? Like if you pace it out, it just gets ridiculous.
Pace it out.
Well, no, like seriously, like if you get up in the morning and you're like, oh, I'm in Vegas, and oh, I'm at the tables, I'll have a couple beers, right? And then it's like, 10 o'clock in the morning, and then it's noon, and it's like, oh, let's go for lunch, and then like all of a sudden, like you look back and you've eaten 2,500 calories, and you've drank like 10 drinks, and you don't think that you've really done anything because you did it over 10 or 11 hours, but you still consumed all of these calories.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And like Thanksgiving is literally like that, right? Like people get up and let's have the eggs Benedict, and then they blow through that. And then they have Thanksgiving dinner, in the middle of the afternoon. And then it's like the turkey sandwiches at night, and it's the
Gosh. Okay, I'm getting full just listening to you. Well, we don't have any other than the cat. We have one other good Thanksgiving tale to end on, which is the time we decided to get our own Thanksgiving turkey.
So that was wild, drunken turkey.
Yes.
I literally shot a turkey out of a tree, a wild turkey, not a bottle of wild turkey, an actual wild turkey.
Right. And why was that? It was because our son couldn't wrap his head around the fact that we would have Thanksgiving without us shooting a turkey. I guess it's probably because he saw them all
he was
in the
quite
yard
young.
flying around.
Man, he must have been like 6 at the time. And where we live, there are a lot of wild turkeys. And so we went over to a friend's property, and they had a gazillion turkeys, and we killed this turkey. And our son literally lost his mind. He's like, we're going to eat. We're going to eat. We have a turkey now. We killed a turkey. So I get this thing home, and it's horrible. Like it's.
Oh, you were covered in feathers,
and
it's
stinky, and I'm like,
and it stinks.
And I'm like, okay, the people that pluck these things for a living, whatever they get paid, they deserve like 16 times more. And the thing's pretty big, and I'm like, I'm not going to gut this out. It's going to be just disgusting and gross. So,
and I'm thinking, hey, we did gross anatomy. Come on,
no.
suck it up,
so I
buttercup.
zip it up the chest, and I breast out these 2 big pieces of meat, so we can put them in the fridge. Wash them up. They're going to be clean. They're not going to be contaminated with anything. And I threw the carcass out. And then I talked to some guy who was apparently a chef, and he said,
"I'm rolling my eyes."
And he said you should marinate it in whiskey. Well,
to get rid of the wild flavor.
Right. So I don't know what that means. Okay. So when I hear the words marinate in whiskey, I assume it's the same as if I was marinated in whiskey, which it would be a lot of whiskey.
And so those things soaked overnight.
Right. So it should be like probably maybe 2 shots and a bunch of water, and you sit it in there, and it kind of takes it just kind of burns the edge off the wildness. And no, this was like, I don't know, this was a third of a half gallon of Jack Daniels.
So let's just
literally probably 10 shots.
So the next day I cook this thing, and we start eating, and probably 2 bites into this turkey, I feel a buzz hitting hard and fast. You could smell the whiskey everywhere. I hate whiskey. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And the kids are like, nom, nom, nom. And they're just like little, I think they were like, 4 and 6 or something. So Mama here had cooked the backup turkey breast just in case. Thank goodness, because
drunken turkey was going to send everyone to the hospital.
It was
for dialysis from alcohol poisoning.
It was an adventure, and it made a good story. But
it was. But the story gets even better because I put my shotgun in the back of the SUV, and then like the next week you flew someplace.
No, I drove to Canada and crossed the border.
No, and they
no, you're right. I did fly.
You went to fly, and they swabbed your bag
because it was
and they
covered
said there is gunpowder and explosives on your bag.
And I said, that's right. My husband shot a turkey for Thanksgiving, and I'm still drunk. No, I'm kidding. Anyway.
And then they laughed, and they went.
Just buy your turkey.
They went.
from the store.
He shot a turkey for Thanksgiving and brought it home to his family. He must be amazing. He must be a man's man.
And on that note,
time to
enjoy your Thanksgiving turkey in Hawaii while I'm dining with friends without
benefits.
Soaked. I was. Oh, jeez. Oh, thanks to our sponsor, Locum Story. Remember, for doctors, the story has changed. Visit financialresidency.com/locum story to see if a locum tenens assignment is right for you. It's here you'll find the unbiased answers you are after, so you can decide if locum tenens is your next chapter. Stay safe, drive safe, don't blow yourself up, don't burn the house down, don't cut your finger, and don't puke, because I'm working on Thanksgiving and I don't want to see it. No stupid. All right, see you next week. It's no secret that medicine is a bit uptight. That's why Tim and I created BS Free MD, to mix things up a little and have fun in the process. Besides, we are having these exact same discussions all the time, so we thought we might as well invite everyone to the party. If you really like us, you can get plenty more and maybe see one of Tim's cool tattoos on our Instagram or Facebook pages at BS Free MD. See you next time.
While we try to keep BS Free MD as raw and real as possible, we can't be held responsible for any medical decisions or discussions had as a result of what you've heard on the show. We know, bummer. But the truth is, we really do care about your questions. So feel free to reach out to us by email at doc@bsfreemd.com. Bloopers. I'm gonna do my own bloopers. One job, two job, red job, big blob.
Way more better. How come I can barely hear myself?
Way more better.
You need to, I think, turn my mic up a little bit.
Your mic is super.
My headphones. Sorry, turn up my.
Is that?
Thanks. That's good.
That's like
good.
super mega loud.
You gotta wake me up. I had too much. I've had too much cocktail.
Well, yeah, I know. We've pre-lubed for Doctales. So this is going to be a freaking awesome episode. We're going to go right off the rails on a crazy train so fast it's not even funny.
Hey, stop it! You got to like, you're cut off.